Thank you, Mr President. I rise on behalf of the Greens to support this motion put forward by the opposition for debate today. This, in effect, establishes an oversight committee for the duration of the pandemic to explore and evaluate and to hold to account the decisions that are made and the actions undertaken in these extraordinary times, in what are often called unprecedented times, but are indeed precedented, and not only precedented in our history, but precedented across the world and in other states where indeed the Treasurer did hit the nail on the head when he said that the federal parliament has today established an oversight committee. They were slightly dragged kicking and screaming to do so, but have indeed agreed to a Senate oversight committee, which includes the opposition and the crossbenchers in that parliament. New Zealand, of course, with Prime Minister Ardern, has taken a slightly more consultative and, I believe, respectful approach, and ensured that straight away there was such an oversight committee. Where we are shutting down parliaments, the idea that you would not agree to an oversight committee would indeed be something that I think the public would quite rightly pour scorn on, and people would scratch their heads and wonder why a parliament was not doing its job of holding the decisions made in its name to account. Today, in another bill, we're signing away a lot of that oversight, a lot of that scrutiny, a lot of the very fundamentals of our democracy. This committee will go some way to providing the transparency that will affect the trust that is so needed in such a crisis, so that people aren't panicked, aren't scared, are comforted and reassured that the parliamentarians are doing their jobs and that the rule of law is being upheld and that public health is the driver for decisions, not politics, not pantomimes, not some bizarre idea that every other parliament in the country apparently doesn't have a sitting calendar. Not sure if the Treasurer has been on the internet lately, but most parliaments publish their sitting calendar the year before the year that they sit. And indeed, the Queensland Parliament, while it gave itself powers to potentially not sit until September back in March, did indeed reconvene. And the Federal Parliament similarly talked about not reconvening until August, but here they are back today because there was work to do, and part of that work was oversight. Part of that work was necessary legislation, which we know will be needed, even beyond this extraordinary day of debate today with this particular COVID emergency bill that is the latest to be put before this place. The idea that parliaments would not sit, that members of parliament would not do their jobs, bring the concerns that are raised with them, where the errors are being made, where the oversight is happening, where people have fallen through the cracks, where the government hasn't the capacity to hear those voices and bring them to the table, because that is indeed the role of all of us as elected members. So I think it actually should have been at the behest of the government today that we were setting up an oversight committee for the duration of the COVID-19 pandemic. I would have taken great comfort in the bill that's before us had that oversight committee been proposed by government and duly comprised perhaps of a joint House committee. But here we are, the House of Review holding the government to account. Very different, of course, from Queensland, where they only have one House and the government of the day controls what the parliament does. Here we have a parliament of two houses where it's been a very long time since the government of the day has controlled this House. I assure the Treasurer that we won't be wasting public servants' time making them unduly give evidence, but what we will be doing is using the very tools that we are entrusted with as members of parliament to hold to account and to ensure the best possible decisions are made, even where there are errors, and there will be errors, but I'm sure we will come all to that particular select committee with good intentions and good faith to get through this with all voices heard at the table, not just those of the Treasurer or the Premier who could have ensured that an oversight committee was brought before this parliament this week, or the Treasurer, who could have got on the phone and talked to a few more of his colleagues rather than just putting his own personal view. It would have hardly have come as a surprise that this council would seek to effect some sort of an oversight committee, and indeed I should imagine that they're speaking reasonably and regularly, that they could have had a small conversation about whether or not democracy needed to be put on hold for 6 months or could continue, because some things need to continue. Some things are essential services, and, Mr President, democracy, transparency is an essential service if we're to have that trust. So with those words, I highly commend support for this motion.